Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And today, we're talking about one of the works I never really got, never really liked until this recording came along. So it's kind of a personal choice. Well, they're all personal choices, aren't they? Handel's water music. Yes, the water music is something that everybody's supposed to just love. There's some pieces that always struck me as people just love them because they think they're supposed to, not because they're really that interesting. And for years and years and years, I've talked about this before, Handel's water music always struck me as this, random assortment of Baroque stuff that sounded like everybody else's random assortment of Baroque stuff. Yes, there were some catchy bits. There's the one that goes da 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 da. That one's fun. And then there's the one that goes da 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 da. Yeah, I mean, I knew it. You if you know, even if you don't know classical music, forget it. If you know classical music, you hear these things. You go, oh, I've heard that. Yeah, it's that. But that never moved me. I mean, what is there expressively that matters about that music? Well, it wasn't really designed for that, was it? It was designed to be played on a barge floating down the Thames to keep the king amused. And he didn't even particularly like music. I mean, he hated strings. For example, George the Third, whichever, George the Second, and that wasn't George the Third. It was, he came later. It was George the First, right? It was a George. Anyway, Handel was amusing his George. And the George apparently liked it. I don't know. I don't care. I have to listen to it now. And so there it was, this collection of things. And finally, one day, the heavens opened. And what made the heavens open? Well, it was this recording. The Scottish Chamber Orchestra with Alexander Gibson. Yes, Alexander Gibson. It's kind of fascinating as I've been doing these greatest recordings ever, how frequently I've turned to Gibson for some of these pieces, because he had some sterling qualities as an interpreter. He really did. I mean, his Sibelius was marvelous. He could do all kinds of things. But what really, I think, did it for me wasn't even the interpretation, which is delicious. It's sparkling. It's fresh. It's youthful. It's sonorous. There's something about it that's just magnetically compelling. And one of those things is the absolutely pellucid Chandos engineering. I mean, it just sounds so captivating. It doesn't even matter that they're playing Handel's water music. They could be playing anything. I would have enjoyed listening to it. There was a palpable, physical, tactile deliciousness about the sound of this performance that really, really did it for me. But I learned a lesson. I learned a big lesson hearing this recording, first of all. It's not just that the performance itself is marvelous. I mean, it's as if it could have been composed yesterday. It has that kind of newness and appeal. And it made me listen with fresh ears. And when I listened with fresh ears, I thought, wow, this is really great. I mean, so I started to like Handel's water music finally. And then comes the key. Here's the key. You go back and you listen to other versions. I mean, you listen to as many versions as you can, because I have to confess, I am not one of those people who says that the only thing that matters is what I like. I mean, I agree with anybody who takes that position. I do. But I really think that part of the joy of listening to music is learning to delight in things that you don't like. I mean, learning to change the way you listen so that you can begin to enjoy them. And of course, there are some, it doesn't mean you take anyone's word for it, right? I mean, there are some people who are just, absolutely convinced that the greatest composer in the entire universe is Surabji. And so I'm going to take them at their word and spend the rest of my life listening to Surabji. No, it's not going to happen. Although I listen to more Surabji than I used to because there's more being recorded. But the point is that when a work is a classic, a certified canonic classic, when the universe tells you you're supposed to really like it, well, that gives me pause if I don't. I ask myself, is it me? Is something wrong with me? Well, sometimes I think there is. Sometimes I think there isn't. There are other works which I I think I understand very well, and I've heard a million times. For example, I just got a really nasty comment from somebody when I said that I don't get the Mozart Requiem. I don't think much of it. Well, that caused hysteria. I still don't. I never will. I feel good about not getting the Mozart Requiem. I don't have a problem not getting the Mozart Requiem. I think it's patchy and only fitfully inspired, and there are many better works by Mozart. So I'll listen to those. But with the water music, it was music that I felt I should have gotten because there's nothing tricky about it. It's just joyful, tuneful, entertaining, and that's what it is. And I wasn't entertained. But when I finally heard this, I was entertained. I was entertained in spades. I was entertained big time. And then I heard, Raymond Leopard and Neville Mariner and Jordi Savall and the period instrument people doing it. And it all began to fall into place. And I began to savor the differences between performances and interpretations. I knew it well enough. Yes, but I needed a way in. That's the thing. Before you can start to branch out and savor all the delicacies that the world of musical interpretation serves up, for our gustatory pleasure, you need something that's gonna provide the foundation. And for me, this is the foundation. Certainly one of the greatest recordings ever. Alexander Gibson, the Scottish National Orchestra, which wasn't royal then. It was just the Scottish National Orchestra. Actually, here it's the Scottish Chamber Orchestra. Pardon me. The Scottish Chamber Orchestra doing, Handel's water music. A recording to savor. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.